Hi friends, it's Claire from ScrappyNerdUK, and today I'm bringing you episode 8 of Washi Wednesdays. So I was supplied with this idea from one of my crafty friends Zoe, and I did promise that I would give her a shout out for a great recommendation. Now, I've already used washi tape to make some frames previously, but I just stuck those down as washi frames on my cardstock. So she's given me the idea of actually making physical frames with it. So I've got I have the luxury of having the We Are Memory Keepers frame punch board. There are a few different ways that you can make these frames though, so I'll give you a couple of ideas in just a second. So all I'm doing here is I've just added some washi tape onto a piece of, I think it's just A4 white card. Got it from Hobbycraft for, it was quite inexpensive actually for 100 sheets. And it's great because I use this white card for backing my photos. I don't tend to use it for the actual cardstock for the layout because it's quite thin, but it's great for this sort of thing. So I'm just using the frame punch board. I've cut the frame down to 4¼ by 3¼ inches, and I'm going to make the Polaroid shaped frame. Now you can do any sort of frame shape that you like. For this particular one, I wanted to have a little bit of a border at the bottom of the frame in order for me to add some embellishments onto, which is the reason I've gone for the Polaroid shaped frame. So I'm just cutting this down into, cutting the insides out. And I love this little tool, it's brilliant. It does sometimes need a little bit of a trim around the edges where it's not quite trimmed correctly, but easily done with a pair of scissors, so it doesn't bother me too much. So I'm not going to bore you with showing you all 6 frames that I make, but I've just showed you that one for an example. And then the insides, this is great because these make brilliant little tab tops. If you like it in that shape, or you can just cut along the top and you could use that shape instead. So don't waste the middles, there are other things that you can be doing with them. So yeah, you could use a craft knife to cut your insides out. You could use a frame punch. I've only got a 2-inch one, so mine wouldn't be big enough. Or you could even use a square die as well if you have one of those. Just line it up, run it through your die cutting machine, and there you go, you have a frame as well. So I have decided to back 3 of the frames with some vellum just to soften a couple of them up. It doesn't make a huge difference because I am scrapping on my trusty white cardstock, but I do like it when it gives the frames a little bit of a different look, so they don't all look exactly the same as if they're all empty. So I've backed the top left, the middle bottom and the top right. And this is all of the 6 frames here, and all I've done is just stuck them down in almost a grid format. So I'm just using a little photograph. This is a photo I printed on my HP sprocket, and I'm just sticking that down and cutting it out. That pink paper with the gold swans on matched this perfectly. So these washi tapes aren't, the collection I'm using is Carousel by Maggie Holmes. And I don't know if it actually came with any coordinating washi tape, this collection. I don't think it did. But the washi tape I've used in this layout, just 3 coordinating washi tapes that I've dug out of my stash to match the colours in the collection. So the photograph I'm using here is one of my eldest niece, I think is the correct term there. And this is the first time that I met her, and this photograph's been hanging around in my stash for a long time, and I thought this layout would have been perfect to use to scrap it. So apologies, the layout does end up slightly off screen at the top, but you can see exactly what I'm doing. I've gone back to using my phone to film because it's so much easier to transfer the footage and edit it and upload it from the iPad than it is to mess around with the video camera and get it off the memory card, and oh, it just takes so long. So yeah, I have gone back to using my phone, but I can't see on my phone what I am filming because it is facing down. So yeah, I've just sorry to bore you with that, but it's just a little bit about my filming process and what my setup is currently. And yeah, just having a look through the ephemera, and I love that the die cuts that says "so sweet," so I thought I'd use that. And I thought I'd crack open the chipboard sheets, the sheet, should I say, to use on this. And I love these pieces of chipboards. And look at this merry-go-round. But the only problem is with the crepe paper chipboard is they're so thick. Does anybody else find that? It just the chipboard is so dimensional, and that's what really bulks my albums out when I do things like this. But I love it, and I'm still not going to use it. I'm still not going to stop using it, should I say. So I'm just trialing out a couple of options here, and I decided to settle on that top left hand corner for that merry-go-round piece. And then yeah, that title, the "So Sweet," does end up moving a couple of times, and I put it into the bottom right and then the middle bottom to see where I like it. It does move over one more time. So in with the puffy stickers, and I'm just using this one that says Magic Moments, I believe, and that ties the green colour in, the sort of minty green colour from the collection. And then in with the stickers as well. And just deciding to use these balloons, and I'm just going to use that on that middle one there. And this is where I do move the title over, and I decide I do like it better in that one next to the photograph. And oh yeah, and then the last one here, just to embellish this one, I bring that Ferris wheel in, and I'm just using some wet glue to stick down my title. And I accidentally get a little bit of glue. I mean, this is, it goes on blue when it's wet, but it dries clear. So no panic that I got some on the layout. Just wiped it off. And then I decided to bring in these little see-through stickers from the same collection. And although they don't appear very well in the video, they do look fine, and you can see the wording on them, and they've got little gold sentiments on. So I just use one at the bottom of that "So Sweet" frame, a couple in with the merry-go-round, one up there on top of the not merry-go-round, the Ferris wheel, one on top of the merry-go-round, and that's my perfectionism coming out because I can't have that where it's not centered. And then I do try and add one on top of this Magical Moments, but then that is exactly where my journaling is going to go. So I decide to lift that up and pop it down at the bottom where the Ferris wheel is. And apologies if you can hear my dog's collar jangling. I'm trying to record a voiceover, and they just won't settle down this evening for some reason. So apologies if you can hear some noise in the background. But I'm taking this time whilst hubby is out at his friend's house to record this voiceover for you. And yeah, just on to a few more stickers, as if the page wasn't embellished enough. I noticed the ice cream truck had a little bit of yellow in the canopy on it, so I added a little yellow heart as well. And I love these gold sequins, but they have they've got a little bit of a glue dot on the back, but I noticed when I used them before they started to lift off and peel. So for convenience and speed, I am just going to stick these down, but afterwards I have gone back and stuck them with a bit of wet glue. And then I'm just going to type my journaling on my typewriter. So all I'm doing is just leaving a couple of lines between the journaling and cut it out into strips. And I'm just laying it down in that frame just to check that I can make it fit. And I'm just using my Xyron machine just to add some adhesive to the back of them rather than sticking them down individually. And this is my layout pretty much done. So thank you very much for joining me for another Washi Wednesday. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Do give it a thumbs up if you did. And don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you next week.